Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hospitality Today Live. We're so glad that you're here. And if you're new with us, we're even more happier that you're here as well. So thank you so much for joining us. We've got always, every week, amazing guests. And yet today, I've got someone really special that I know you're going to want to know about because we always love new things that come into our industry, right? Well, I'm going to introduce to you today the CMP Debbie Garcia. She is the CEO of Virsitour. And let me tell you, this lady has a great background in not only in the meetings industry for at least a decade, but the radio and TV industry as well. And you're going to be pleasantly surprised and amazed with her because she actually took both the radio and TV and the meetings industry, combined them for something unique and different that every meeting and event professional would love to know about and to utilize. I mean, she had to really take a hard look when the pandemic happened by having this new entity that's going to really make a difference for our industry. And I cannot wait for you to meet her. And she's also going to talk about venue sourcing, especially for post-COVID. What are the changes that have been happening? What the future looks like for our industry and for her new company? And how does it help move meetings forward? And of course, we want to know and find out, what is Virsitour? Well, don't go far. You're going to find out in a few minutes. And I know she is a proud sponsor of Hospitality Today Live. We've got Debbie Garcia in the house. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Looks like the Debbie's rule in this show this time.
Absolutely.
Well, I am so delighted to have you on our show. And I know our viewers are going to be going, we need to know about Virsitour. But before we get into that, I know that you had the radio and TV background, just like I do, which is great. And then with your decade of experience and expertise in the meetings industry, where did you come up with this whole Virsitour?
So when I went to college, I was a communications major, radio, TV, film, and I really went into it, working at MTV, working at Gray Worldwide, which is one of the biggest advertising agencies, and was always, as much as I wanted to be on camera, I was always really good at production. So I was doing a lot of the video and doing a lot of post-production, which led me to a 12-year career in radio at Westwood One Radio Networks, where I launched CMT and BET.
Wow.
Yeah, so I spent 12 years. I actually moved to Nashville to pursue the CMT radio, was a producer, an audio engineer, interviewer, which brought me to also doing interviews with a lot of country artists. I think about 400 country artists I've interviewed in my career. Wow. So, and then also doing post-production. And then things happened, recession, I got laid off. And before that, I was really obsessed with wedding planning because I think I wanted to get married. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. It's very much like production. So I started my own wedding planning company on the side. And then when I got laid off, I said to myself, I really want to continue doing event planning. So I continued, but went into the corporate market and have worked at hotels, venues, restaurants, anything in the events industry, and also offsite catering. But a few years back, I decided that I really wanted to get into the other side. And I absolutely adore venue sourcing, like site selection for me. For some reason, I can walk in a room, I can see how many square feet something is, I can look at a place and I can picture the event in there for a client. I can literally know exactly how the tables are going to be set up. So I decided to start working in doing venue sourcing for a third party, which brought me to a totally different side. And if anybody is a supplier or a planner, you know the difference.
Right.
You know, there's the schmooze and the schmoozer. And when the roles reverse, you kind of enjoy it. You get to go places. I'm a hosted buyer. But for the last 3 years, I have been doing hotel and venue sourcing, and also took another full-time job doing, and I worked in the tech industry for 2 tech startups. So I just had these like 3 different things going on in my mind when the pandemic hit, when I lost a full-time job, as many also event planners were moving and canceling events, which really hit your pocketbook as a person who was making commission only. 2 children at home and my Airbnb empty, and said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Right.
So the idea was definitely born out of need, because I called one of my clients that I just met her at PCMA in San Francisco, and she was totally against anybody helping her with site selection. And I said, okay, well, if you change your mind, just get back to me. And she changed her mind and got back to me. And this was in January, February, I believe, of 2020. And so we started on an RFP for their big tech conference, sent it all out, and came back, and pandemic. Everything's off the table. You can't get in touch with anybody. And I said, what do you do at this point during your process? And she said, this is when I go on site tours. This is when I start booking. This is what I do. And I said, you are not going anywhere. And I just hunkered down and said, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to look for virtual site tours. I'm going to talk to all the people we have been sourcing with, and found you couldn't get any information because nobody was in offices anymore. And doing Google searches was not bringing me anything. And I said, someone has to create a place where all these virtual site tours lived on one platform for an event planner to be able to view them, add them to a list, and send qualified RFPs. So that's how it was born. It was born out of all these things I've done in my past, plus my client that had a need, and I'm a problem solver, and felt that this was a problem I needed to solve.
Wow. You know, you brought up a really good point too, because although this has a lot to do with your background and your experience, and now Virsitour has been born as your baby, I think a lot of people out there don't realize what you accomplish is exactly what they can do. They can take a look and just stop and think about, okay, this is what I have done in the industry or outside the industry, and put them together to create something unique and different, just like you did with Virsitour. So I hope our viewers out there are thinking, hey, wait a minute. Okay, I have nothing to do, but maybe there's something I can create, just like Debbie did, that you didn't even think about. I mean, this is not something that you planned for or had this on your business plans or plans and actions or anything. It popped up because you saw a need. And I just love that. And I love the name Virsitour. You explained that to me. Explain that to our viewers.
So there's so many things going through my head when I wanted to just help. And I just kept saying, we need virtual site tours. And, you know, I had people saying, well, nobody likes saying that. We call them site inspections. You know, I'm like, I don't know. I came up with words like the ultimate planner or all this sort of stuff. And I was like, there's just got to be something with the word virtual site tour. And so Virsitour is virtual site tour altogether. So it's Virsitour. And the logo in particular was very special to me. It kind of, the colors in the logo are the color bars in television. So when you saw, and this is very, this is very old school when, you've got the color bars come up on the television. Yeah. This is a test of your broadcast system. Back to color bars. It's a map pin in the shape of a map pin, and then it has the play button like you're playing a video. So that is the logo and how the name came about.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. And if anybody wants to, we're going to give that information now, which is really easy, Virsitour.com. It's a great site and so user-friendly. And I think, coming from the industry as you have, that knows the lingo, knows the challenges, even knows, you can utilize this as a solution for not only meeting event professionals, but suppliers as well. I think that's why the website is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm hoping our viewers have some questions or comments and want to chime in. But until then, let's talk about what venue sourcing actually is going to look like starting today into post-COVID and the future. What does that look like, and how should we gear our way of looking for venues and or partnering with venues?
Absolutely. So we've done a lot of research with how planners actually utilize and how they source. And utilizing some technology that we have used in the past is great. We used to have an idea of where we would go, maybe have 2 or 3 places, and then we would create an RFP, and then we would go find the venues that would, in a searchable thing, or someone we met at a conference and said, oh, yeah, we want to source you. And we would just send that out and wait for availability and rates to come back. And then we would put them all next to each other and say, okay, which one do we think? And maybe we pick a few. And then we would physically book plane tickets and try and get the free room someplace and schedule all of these site visits. And we'd go there. The reason is that we're trying to flip the script is it is not easy anymore to just hop on a plane. It's not easy to just go someplace or have availability, especially for the future when compression happens. And I can go all day about what the future looks like when compression happens. But part of the reason venue selection is going to change is time and money. So event planners right now have a lot on their plate where they're going from virtual to hybrid to in-person and back and forth constantly. They've lost some of their team. So being able to look and view virtual site tours, being able to look at the specifications and be able to create a list and send qualified leads off to suppliers, it's going to save everyone a lot of time and money. And also it's sustainable. We're talking about the environment a lot, especially in the last few years, how, travel and how, car emissions and planes are hurting the environment. Well, if we can take out that event planner not having to go on multiple site visits and not having to travel so much, but being able to maybe do that last, when they pick their place, being able to do the final site selection or the final inspection, and then having the actual conference there. What we're trying to do is just be able to take down a few of the travel plans that are put on meeting planners. What we kind of learned from COVID also is the importance of family. I have 2 little kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. She's almost 5. She'll be 5 this month. We really took stock and looked at the amount of travel we were doing, especially for site selections and being away for conferences. And if you're looking at an industry that at least 85% is made up of women and about 75% have children, you're looking at people who are away from their families a lot, that have to do a lot of work to be able to do these site selections. So what the future, I believe, holds is that kind of reversal of the way we did things, is being able to view virtual site tours and then creating the RFP to the ones that are top of your list. And if you have to go to do a site inspection after that physically, to do it then.
Wow, that is that's very impressive and very simple. It just seems like, how could it be this simple? But I believe that you are exactly on target with your tagline that we use for when you sponsor this show, is let the site tour come to you. So I want to kind of role play here a little bit. If I'm coming to your website to take a look at trying to find a venue, let's say in Florida, and I go through that process, do the hotels or the venues contact me directly after that, or does all the communication go through your technology system?
Well, right now it's more of the sourcing. I'd say it's a tool. It's one of the tools in your toolbox you can use. Okay. So it's not a platform where you're doing everything inside of it. We found that a lot of people wanted to send their own RFPs. They've created these RFPs. They don't want to fill out a whole bunch of information because they've already have a 14-page RFP. So we allow on our website for you to upload that and send that directly. If you don't have that, we have very pinpointed questions that really get the suppliers to read the whole thing, because sometimes there's too much information. Sometimes it's just an opening the door. On the supplier end, when they receive it, they have the availability to create their own proposal and send it directly to the planner, or they can fill out our proposal with the pertinent information, again, that needs to be sent to the planner. But we're not right now having the exchange go through the platform. It will, the planner side does have where all your RFPs are. We will eventually, hopefully, build into the platform those, checking off, was it declined? Why was it declined? Or why awarded? And all of that. But what the feedback we are getting is that is just too much. We just want to be connected. We want to see something. We want to send our RFP, and we want to be connected, which is one of those things that we're working on right now, is the one-on-one booking. That if you send your RFP and you need to go see that ADA room that was not on your virtual site tour, or see a socially distant setup, or just ask questions, we want to have a one-on-one over Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever you like using, or Teams, that you have the availability to book a time with that supplier on their calendar, and then you can get together. So that is something that is integrated. It's just not launched yet. So we're trying to get people to talk to each other again. We like using technology as a tool. But we don't want to use technology as the end all be all, because relationships are what's most important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because that's what technology, I think the industry is afraid of, is going to replace relationships. And that's one thing that we just cannot happen, because obviously you can see during this pandemic, it's really hard to keep relationships going when we're all at home and just Zooming and looking at, 50 squares of us. Whereas we want to be in front of each other. We want that experience. But what I love about what you're saying is that, they can start the process with you, and they can see and help minimize, down from 20 venues to 3. And then they can get on a plane and go see it if they wanted to, or, keep the process going through that. And then talking to the person on property or at the venue makes a huge, huge difference. Now, we have a fan that is here that wants to ask you a question. Randall, who's like our #1 fan here on the show. Randall says, sounds like a great service, but who pays?
So just like the entire industry, the supplier does pay. The planners can access for free. You don't even need to sign up as a planner until you want to actually create your RFP list. So you can go on there right now. Everything is there. You can search. You can do whatever you want. But until you want to actually send that direct RFP is when you sign up. And it's no payment at all for planners. For the supplier, it is so easy. You literally just go to our page that has your plans and pricing. And we're doing 3 months free right now. So you can go try it out as a supplier completely for free, no payment whatsoever. And there's 4 packages. There's a basic, a deluxe, premier, and then virtual, which will soon turn into just services as we're kind of getting out of just virtual. And so it's very interesting because we're replacing a print budget, or even less than a print budget, because our most expensive plan, I don't want to sound salesy, I know you asked it, but our most expensive plan is $200 a month for everything, all the bells and whistles, and all the digital marketing we do for you on social media, newsletter, and the visibility on the website. So we do pretty much everything as your digital marketer. And what I love about what we can do, that kind of just came up while I was actually creating digital sales kits for my team, because I like sending a link. If you want to know more about me or our website, here's all the information you need on one page, and here's how you can connect to me instead of me sending PDFs and pictures and all that sort of stuff. When I was creating our own digital sales kit, I said, oh my gosh, each one of these hotels has their own digital sales kit that they can just share our link as well in your signature or anything, because it has your virtual site tour, your map, your social media, direct connection, specifications, PDFs, all on the site. So we really built it the way that everyone asked it to be built. So minimal fee for the suppliers who pay for the service.
Yeah, and it's just an added feature to their marketing efforts. And the more you get out there, whatever avenue that might be, the better. And I think that, gosh, with that kind of deal, letting, Virsitour do all the work on that one side is worth it at that point. So I think that's just a brilliant idea, because, RFPs have always been a struggle, and RFPs have always slowed the process down. So what you're doing is you're just speeding that process up, saving them time, especially getting on a plane. And I believe, when things start opening up for us, which I know it's even delayed now, but when it does, we're going to have a meeting revenge. I mean, literally, there is going to be so many meetings and events that are going to be, out there, that we're going to make up for the time that we've been in this pandemic. I really believe
and that brings up the compression that is going to happen. So just even think about, everyone's like, oh, this is just an idea that we need right now because we can't travel. But just think about next year and the next 3 years on when you want to go on a site inspection.
Right.
And you can't, because our ballroom is full and there's not a room for you.
Right.
And being able to coordinate that when you want to see 3 or 5 sites in one day, you will not be able to.
Right.
This is definitely filling in for the kind of availability all the time to see a site. It's 24/7. It's like a trade show meets us. I always say it's Netflix meets a sourcing tool and Amazon.com, because of the ease of it. It's like you found your product, you add it to your list, you check out. Like, that's the process I created on how, like, a mom of 2 likes to do things. I don't normally have time during the day. I'm watching Netflix at night, right? So what if I just sourced at night? I got to watch little videos and be able to add them to my list and check out with an RFP. Was really the feeling I got, is, why do we make this so hard?
Right. And that's the whole thing here, is making things so much easier to plan a meeting or event, because meeting and event professionals wear all kinds of hats. And all you're trying to do, like everyone in our industry needs to do, is just try to simplify the process. And technology helps that quite a bit. It's just a matter of how it's being used, when it's being used, and in order to just save everybody time and headache. So you have become a solution to the industry, a brilliant solution that I believe, everyone should take advantage of. And when they do, we're going to be able to book a lot more meetings and events. And I know that's going to happen, but it's just a matter of learning these type of processes, just like we've all had to learn how to Zoom. I know we were all on steroids with Zoom, trying to learn that process, and now we got it down. Now the hybrid is, another thing that's, new to a lot of people, not to those that have been in the industry like you and I have been, but now they're doing this. So they need to take a look at what's going to help simplify their job duties when things start coming around. And I think that's the key to success for any meeting and event professional and supplier today.
Yeah. And we also have to think about the ones that are coming up, the ones that are used to technology. I mean,
yes,
I'm in my mid-40s. So, I mean, I went through the the television turning the little knobs and all that sort of stuff, and not having a cell phone. But we have people that 18 to 35-year-old range that just grew up with technology.
Right.
And we're trying to teach them how to use certain things, and they're teaching us. And what's happening is, I think that's 18 to 34-year-olds, it's 130% more likely they will book something watching a virtual site tour than ones that would not. And people spend about 10% more time on a website with a virtual tour than those without. So we're ingrained in this, way of technology that has just been literally looking us in the face. We've been using it, but we haven't really compiled it into one place that's easily accessible for people.
Right. So throughout this whole process, for those out there that want to connect the dots of, their background, expertise, and knowledge, and putting it together like you have, to just like, voila, there's Virsitour. What was actually the biggest challenge trying to come up with something like this above and beyond this whole process? Because obviously you can look back and go, wow, this is so cool. I did this. This is something that's going to be a need. But boy, this part right here was the hardest part.
Tech startup. I think that there was that boom and everyone heard about it, and you've got so many tech companies out there. I didn't think about myself as a founder and a CEO of a tech startup. I think I created something, I have an idea that's valid, and living in that and not having imposter syndrome in a way. I think that has been, becoming a leader when I would never talk to a CEO or even when I'm at a trade show feeling, oh, I'm not good enough to talk to you or any of that. Coming into your own, in a sense, and coming into and feeling living in your own skin. Now, yes, I was just cleaning the kitchen counters before I came in here and feeding my children and, taking the dog for a walk. We're all normal people. And I think what came out of this was, why am I so nervous to talk to people in big positions? Because they may have worked for someone that had an idea, and I'm sitting here with an idea and living with that. And I think the second thing is not really understanding the amount of money that goes into all of this, and not being a technical founder, being the idea person, and not being able to fix my website when there's a problem. Like, we have a little maintenance going on right now because we had a little glitch, and not knowing how to fix it, which is so hard for a planner. So I'm like, I'm the fireman. I put out all the fires, and I need to know how to do everything. Tech is a little different when you're building websites, and you have to know. I had to learn what PHP was, and MySQL, and databases, and analytics, and how it all works, and come up with it. But what I did realize is how I could how I work better is I'm a very visual person, obviously. I work very visually. So what I did was I just bought a website and started brain dumping. And I think a lot of times you just need to start doing that. If you want to get into any sort of business, just get it out on paper, get it out on computer, figure it out, ask millions of questions, tap everyone that you know, tap everyone you don't know, ask them what they need, and try and validate your product before you actually go to market.
Oh, those are great advice. And I never thought about that, because really in our industry, we are not tech gurus at all. So you really did take on a huge challenge there. And that's not to say anybody else that has great ideas out there have to go the tech way. I mean, there's other things the industry can always improve upon. But I think that what you took on was a huge monster, and you succeeded, and you're only going to be improving yourself from there. But not everybody has to do that. And I love the fact that you recognize that, hey, you're just as important as the leaders in the industry. And it's so true. That's what this show is all about. This show is all about, you have a voice, you have an idea, you have the knowledge, the skill set. Why not utilize it in any way that you want and need to help improve the industry? So I think it's just absolutely a great tool. And I think, boy, if everybody can just take that tour on her website, you'll see a lot of neat things. And I'm going to put your contact information up there so people can really actually see. I would imagine if anybody had any questions or comments or want to kind of brainstorm with you, they can contact you at your email as well. Is there any other way that everybody can talk to you?
I mean, you can fill out stuff on the website. There's a contact us form on there. We are on LinkedIn. We are literally on every social. So please, find us, follow us. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We are everywhere. So please, follow, subscribe. You can ping me on LinkedIn on Debbie Garcia CMP. You can find me there as well. So we've got multiple outlets. I'm very accessible.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Well, I got one more question for you before you leave. And this just is kind of a general question. Tell us, what's the nicest part about working in the hospitality industry for you?
I think, going from one industry to another, what I loved about the hospitality industry, and the reason why after all this I didn't just leave like a lot of other people, was that we're creating memories for others. And I think that, whether someone's going on vacation or whether it is a meeting, it could be just an experience. And I know that a lot of us get a little jaded sometimes when we go, oh, well, I can't believe they put us up in this hotel and they're trying to blah, blah, blah. But what I think at the end of the day is watching the people who put it together and watching all the behind the scenes people. You know, it could be the concierge or the parking attendant or the server or just anybody, the guy even bringing in the liquor to, you know, to the party and or setting just, I think that working together on the moments that make it memorable are what make me love the hospitality industry.
Oh, that is nice. That is good. That is very, very good. Well, I tell you, you are about the Olympic mom of technology in our industry now, because you've got a lot on your plate, and how you pulled this off. I'm very admirable of what you have brought to the industry. And again, I want our viewers to know that they're in good hands with Virsitour, and we really appreciate your sponsorship here on Hospitality Today Live to help get that word out, because that is what we're all about as well. So thank you, Debbie, so much for being with us, and the best of luck to you in the future. And I know once, you know, things start turning around again, people are going to really, really want to get out there and plan those meetings and events right there on Virsitour.
Absolutely. Thank you, Deborah, for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, there you go. What did you think of that? That was a very interesting episode, because I tell you what, more and more things are going to pop up in the meetings and events industry. And what better way than to take a look at what Virsitour has done already? It's going to save you time, money, headaches, and she's there, Debbie's there to help you through the whole step of the way. So take advantage of that and get a hold of Debbie at Virsitour.com. And if you like this episode and want to share it with others, please do. And join in on the conversation as well, and letting us know what you think at hello@Hospitality Today Live. And if you want to sponsor an episode coming up, yep, you can contact us at hello@Hospitality Today Live as well. And we would love to hear from you. So what's going to be happening next here on our show? Well, we have the founder of Thrive Meetings and Events, Tracy Stuckrath, a longtime friend of mine here in the hospitality industry. She also has a podcast called Eating at a Meeting. And I'm so excited to have Tracy here, because we really want to find out a lot about the food and beverage in the meetings and events industry. She believes that every guest matters, and work out what food and beverage will look like in the post-pandemic world. How is food and beverage connected to DEI and the best practices handling dietary restrictions, and so much more, right here next week, right here at the same time as well. So you won't want to miss that as well. So I want to say thank you so much for being with us here. I'm Deborah Gardner, your host. And remember, if you're thinking about it, we're talking about it right here on Hospitality Today Live. Have a great week, everybody.